But right-wing activity was widespread inside the military after a series of exposés in the media. Mr. Cole said they were unacceptable, but hadn't undermined his confidence in the German army. Parliament is now investigating one case when a convicted right-wing terrorist was invited to speak at a prestigious academy. Tristana Moore has been to the academy in Hamburg and reports now on the scandal which is rocking Germany.
The German army has for years prided itself on its sense of patriotism and has recently become more active in peacekeeping missions abroad. But it's now facing an ugly reminder of its past amid allegations that some of its soldiers are neo-Nazis. Today's hastily arranged visit by the German defense minister to Hamburg's top military academy is a clear sign the government is taking these allegations seriously. But Volker Ruhr denied there was an extremist tendency in the Bundeswehr, blaming the German media for overreacting.
Man hat fast den Eindruck,
I sometimes get the impression our media would have a big problem if they didn't have a big story about the Bundeswehr every weekend.
The German defense minister did admit, however, that an incident 2 years ago was an unacceptable scandal. It emerged last week that one of Germany's most notorious neo-Nazis, Manfred Roeder, was asked to give a talk at this military academy. And he also spent the night here. Manfred Roeder is no stranger to controversy. Several months ago, he took part in a right-wing demonstration against an exhibition on the German army's role in the Second World War. In 1982, Roeder was sentenced to 13 years in prison on several charges, including an arson attack on an asylum seeker's home in which 2 Vietnamese people died.
Hitler certainly moved this century more than anybody else. And his greatest achievement was to uniting the German people.
Roeder's speech to the military academy in Hamburg was also about this subject, sending equipment to help people of German descent in the area around Königsberg in former East Prussia.
They invited me, and it was a colonel to whom he talked, and then he invited me to come later in January, come back for a talk to about 30 officers. That was how it started. There was nothing else.
The Bundeswehr also donated vehicles and tools it no longer needed to Roeder for his work in former East Prussia.
I know many people in the Bundeswehr. Many of my friends have served or are serving in the Bundeswehr, and they are just the normal German youth, and of course I know many of them. And about 80% I know and I meet are sharing my ideas.
An army video broadcast on German television showing soldiers saying Heil Hitler and acting out neo-Nazi beatings has further damaged the army's reputation. Former soldiers at this army barracks in Bavaria said that Nazi propaganda used to be widely available. Young paratroopers were told not to ask any questions and just obey orders. Pictures from Stern magazine features soldiers celebrating Hitler's birthday and posing in front of the Nazi swastika flag. 2 senior officers from this elite regiment have now been dismissed. And following allegations this weekend that German peacekeepers in Croatia chanted Heil Hitler, the Defense Ministry has been forced to launch an investigation. The army will now have to find out how many Nazi sympathizers exist among their ranks.
Ich betrachte nur mal das Offizierkorps und das Unteroffizierkorps. Und wenn ich dann davon
10 to 15% of all Germans are extreme right-wingers, including Nazis. If 2 to 3% of all German officers were also neo-Nazis, that would be too much. But the problem is, we don't know.
Radikale wären mir zu viele, aber wir müssen erst mal genau sehen, wo wir eigentlich stehen. Und da wissen wir noch gar nichts.
Zum Gebet.
The German defense minister Volker Ruhr said today he still believed in the integrity of the Bundeswehr and said the army would work harder to identify any future cases of right-wing extremism. But awkward questions will continue to be asked about Germany's Nazi past when the inquiry's findings are published next year. Tristana Moore, Channel 4 News, Germany.
When we come back, for those in peril on the